Tell me what comes to mind, like emotions-wise. How do you feel when you hear about a new change coming at you?
Frustrated.
Frustrated. What else? Nervous. What does that mean? Now, what does that mean to me? What else?
Why change it? It's working, why are we changing it?
It's not broke. Don't fix it. Why are we doing this? What else?
Anxious and uncertain.
Anxious, uncertain.
Fear.
Fear. What else?
Indifference.
Indifference. I don't care. Whatever. We're gonna go good. Might as well just go along with it. Anything else?
Excited.
Excited! One positive. I was waiting for that one person in the room that said something good, because a lot of times, all the feelings that we have and the thinking that we get surrounding change is pretty hard. Change is not always easy. And what we want to do is, as leaders, help the people who, not only ourselves, but the people that we're leading, to have a better experience, to make the change process more comfortable, less painful, less scary, uncertain. If people are operating in a state of uncertainty, what does their performance do?
It either goes up or down.
It usually goes down. I mean, there might be a few people who are like, hey, I have no idea what's going on, and my mind is clear and focused, and I can do the best job ever. But that's not me, I know, and that's not most people. Because when they're feeling that uncertainty and that fear, and there's all these changes, not only do they not know how or what they're doing, but there's also, how is this going to affect me? Is this going to, how many of y'all have been in a company that did layoffs? Anybody? Most people have experienced it sometimes in their life. And how many of you have anticipated layoffs, even if they didn't happen, because a change was introduced? And you start thinking, well, the rumor mill gets going, and you think, oh my gosh, what does that mean for me? I'm going to lose my job. What if I, don't know what I'm doing? Or what if, we merge with somebody else, and then there's two of me? It happened to one of my good friends recently. She actually launched her into starting her own business, but that happened to her after 10 years with the same company. She thought she was getting called in to be promoted to vice president, because that was the position. But the company they had merged with, the person had like 1 or 2 more years doing the same job, and so that was the deciding factor of who they kept to go to the vice president position. When she had just had a conversation 2 weeks before with her leader about the options of what was going to happen, and they had really led her to believe that it was hers. So when she went in for the meeting, thinking she was going to become the vice president of these now 2 companies merged, she was actually let go, and that was actually her last day right then and there. So we live in a time of huge change, huge uncertainty, and being able to learn how to manage ourselves through those and help other people move through them is really going to help us. Personally, information is reality. Y'all ever heard that said? My reality is based on my perception. Whether or not that was the intent of whatever was going on, or whether or not that was the person's motive, how I experience it is my reality. So what I perceive is the truth to me, and what you perceive is the truth for you. And it's all based on these past experiences and what we've had happen to us, what we have experienced with other things like that. So when people are going through a change and they're experiencing something similar in the past, they're going to react. Because we bring every past experience into our current experiences. And so when they're going through a change, they're saying that's where those things like, oh, we did this before, or I know how this is going to turn out, comes from. Because it's based on our perspective. With all of this, it's just about being more aware of what's influencing your perception, why you think the way that you do. And especially when times of change, and as a leader, looking at these things and figuring out, okay, where are my biases? Why am I saying that we need to do this? Am I doing it because this is the way that I think, which most of the time it is, and then going out and seeking other perceptions. Because the more people whose perceptions that you get, the bigger picture you're going to have. And sometimes I show some photos where we can look like, so it looks different on that side of the room than that side of the room, and you can talk about it, and then once you start saying, oh, but I see that, I see that, I see that, you're hearing once you hear other people's viewpoint, it actually opens your mind bigger, and you say, oh, now I get it, now I see that, I never thought of it that way. And so when we're planning change and we're coming up with how we're going to change and what we're going to do, if we aren't asking for all these different perceptions and if we're not evaluating them and using critical thinking, we're not going to hit what we're trying to accomplish because we're only going from that one narrow perception of our stand. We haven't communicated the reasoning behind it, the realities of the change, and what's driving it. I remember I said a little bit of why goes a long way. It might sound like I'm saying the same things that I've said before, and it's because I am. Because we need to hear things. Actually, they say we need to hear things at least 7 times before it kind of begins to sink in. But the reason that I say this is because they're important. And these are some of the takeaways that I really want you to remember. For me, over-communication is one of the best things you can do during times of change. Is providing it, even if it's, I don't know. Even if it's saying, you know, I understand that there's a lot of confusion going on, but this is what I do know, and as soon as I find out, I'll tell you more. But just leaving people in the dark or hoarding information is never a good plan. I was in an organization once where we were doing a reorg and we were moving people's desks around. And they did not have any say. One person said, oh, I think this person should here, this here, you know, because they were kind of in the same work groups. And they didn't give them any say. And then they put it out to the committee who was going to then share it with their people, but not yet. And she handed them out these sheets. And there was no reason why they couldn't have said, okay, you're in this section, but your people get to pick where they sit. You know, they could have done that. But she didn't because it was more time consuming and less convenient for her. And so when she did that, and she handed it to all the people and said, but don't share this with your teams yet, I was like, oh God, I'm about to get in trouble. And I was like, okay, sorry, I just have to say something. I was like, as soon as we leave this room, this is getting out there. So why are you asking them not to share it? Because first of all, it's not going to happen. People are probably getting texts right now. Oh my gosh, you're seeing this so-and-so. You know, we just got a new floor plan. But you can't hoard information. And she's like, well, because then everybody's going to start emailing me. I said, sorry, that's part of your responsibility. And then I said, and so when they start emailing you, I said, well, what is it, why can't we let them have some input on where they say, well, I just thought it was easier this way. I said, okay, you did think it was easier this way. It might have been easier for you at the moment. But now you're maybe it wasn't even conscious, but subconsciously you're anticipating, you know all these emails are going to come. You know that there's going to be resistance. You know people want to have more of a say in what they're doing. So why wouldn't you have just let them do it in the beginning? It would have actually ended up saving time. And I cannot tell you the uproar that happened after that meeting. Oh my gosh. I mean, hatefulness. People quit. And this is about where you're sitting. Relationships are, this was a trivial thing in some people's minds. But when you don't give people an input and don't let them have some say or control of their environment, and you're not communicating with them what the plan is, or you're hoarding information like what she was doing, the result is always bad. It just is. And it doesn't serve you or them, even if it feels easier